What's happening, YouTube? Thanks for stopping back by the channel today, right here with the Rustbelt Mechanic. So we've got a real treat for you today. We've got some new products coming to the market. We've got the new Milwaukee brushless fuel 2485. This is the 22 kit with 2 amp hour battery. And then we're also going to be comparing it today to the Snap-on CTPP761AGM. Now I know it's not going to be a direct kind of comparison because of the design differences in these, but Milwaukee is going after the Snap-on in this market, so we're going to do some testing and some comparative review between the two, see how they stack up. So let's get my first impressions over onto the Snap-on. Like I said, this is the CTPP761AGM, black and gray version with a standard 14.4 2 amp hour battery. It is not the updated 2.5 amp hour battery. That's the one I've been running on. I've had this one and I've been running it for about 6 months now. It does have the 2-speed little gearbox on top of it, and this one runs upwards of 15,000 RPM. The RPMs on this one are pretty decent. I did have one of these prior to this one. I had the earlier model of it, and it actually burned up. So I think one of the issues with that one is how it's used. A lot of the debris and dirt would get down into the little gearbox area and into the motor, and it burned up actually fairly quickly. I only had it for about 2 months. But I have liked this one very well since then, and I've not had any problems with it. The trigger is very nice and responsive, variable speed trigger. It is, like I said, only selectable high and low speed. Like 3,500 RPM, max speed 15,000 RPM. Pretty nice tool. Cost on this one, I ended up picking this one up for, a pretty decent deal. I got it off of the Snap-on truck and ended up getting it for right around $210 for just the tool only. Now, if you wanted to get 2 batteries and a charger, that's going to be well over $300. So kind of costly in those aspects. The grip and the handle on the Snap-on one is very nice. It matches up really well to like the CT761, right around those lines, or the drill line. It matches up really nice. Nice rubberized finish all the way around. Like I said, the trigger is very nice and responsive. The lockout feature is right here inside what would be normally a reversing feature on a standard drill. Tap that one over, you can't even pull the trigger. It just is a manual lockout, not anything automatic for the trigger. Click it off to the right and then it is wide open. Doesn't have any other speed selection other than the 1-2 on top. Overall, it works very decently. There is a couple of circumstances in which I was using it for an extended period of time. It kind of got hot and it went into a lockout mode. But that one took well over 15 minutes of use on it. And yes, that battery has lasted for that amount of time on constant use. Usually I'll get 18 to 20 minutes of runtime on the 2 amp hour battery with constant use, doing pans, doing front covers, or if I'm doing major rust removal for differentials and rear ends. Usually that's what I had, the issue with the overheating on it. 90% of the time I'm using a roll-lock disc on it. Very rarely will I put any kind of wire wheel onto this one or any kind of flapper style disc, but like I said, most of the time I use the roll-lock disc on that one with a 2-inch roll-lock for it. So overall, very nice. I've used it for about 6 months, but I want to get into my views on how I've liked the Milwaukee one. I've been using this one for just about a week and a half now, and I am very, very impressed by it. Now, price point on this one, you're looking at right around 259 bucks, and that's for a whole kit. The tool, 2 amp hour batteries. It comes with the 2 wrenches for removing and installing any of the heads you want to, which the Snap-on does not come with those. It does come with a polishing end to it and an adapter, because technically this is a polisher, but it does not come with the wrench on that one. Now, the Milwaukee one, I do like the fact that it is more of the right angle tool. It reminds me a whole lot more of the air tools that we had not so long ago. Now we're all going to these battery tools and they kind of mimic it after that one. Difference that is the biggest on this one is trigger pull, and this one does have a paddle operation. The paddle operation on this one does have a nice little safety trigger on it. There is no external safety device to be able to manually turn on or off the tool or keep it from working, but the safety device does not allow you to push the paddle at all. Some of the early air tools, they did have that little safety lever that was spring loaded. You could pull it a slight bit and it would work, but not very much. You had to pull the spring over and then pull the tool to operate it. Light on this one is very nice. As you can see, the Snap-on one, no light on that one at all either. For what this one does, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now we're going to talk about the RPMs on it. The RPMs on this one are quite a bit more than the Snap-ons as well. The top max out RPM on this one is 24,500 revolutions per minute, which is insane, and it works awesome for a battery powered tool. Now when you're using it on max power like that, I was able to get right around 18 minutes of use out of a 2 amp hour battery. The cool thing about Milwaukee is that the fact that these M12 systems do have more batteries to be able to use. So if you want to use this for a longer period of time, I clipped in my 4 amp hour battery to it and it worked for about 2 to 2.5 times the amount of time for full use on that one. And that's just trying to strip a rotor fully out. You know, I polished it up pretty good for about half an hour. Tool works very nice. I did not have any issues of overheating whatsoever. Used this one for the full amount of time and I didn't have any overheating. It did not shut off. They both have over torque safety components to them, to where if you push too hard on them and it does lock up, it doesn't continue to push the motor. It automatically cuts it back for you. Battery level on this one is red here on the side with the 4 bars indicator, just like any of the other M12 line. Snap-on one, it does have the little 1 color LED here where it's going to be green on full, orange on mid-level, and when it starts to get down to red is when it's about dead. The other cool thing about the Milwaukee tool is it does have more selection for the motor operation. Here on the back, it is a single button that you're able to push, and you are functioning it between 4 different selections. These 4 different selections, number 1, you're at 10,000 RPM, number 2, you're at 15,000, 3, you're at 20,000, and 4, you're at all the balls, 24,500 RPMs. Pretty much for my daily use, I'm just going to leave it on number 4 because there's not any kind of tool that I'm going to put onto this thing. Like I said, 98% of the time I'm going to be using this roll-lock disc, and that is plenty fine to be able to be used at the 24,500 RPM. Now, when you're using things like this little wire wheel here, you're not going to want to be using that one at that full RPM because obviously then you're going to be throwing little shards of metal pins pretty much in every direction. They're not balanced out for using at that high of an RPM. The cool thing about this tool is it does come with a nice little RPM chart both on the box and in the instructions to tell you which kind of tools it recommends for you to use at what RPM and what setting. So make sure you check with your instructions before using those certain tools. As for the actual construction and design of them, the Milwaukee is going to be for somebody with a little bit larger hands-free. The diameter of it is quite a bit bigger, say probably 25% larger around, but me having large hands in the first place, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. However, with somebody with tinier, daintier hands, you are going to notice quite the difference in that. The other thing that's kind of so-so, I'm not a big fan of the safety mechanism on the Milwaukee. The fact that it is fully locked out and I have to swing this spring-loaded arm all the way up. Now, as for size of the actual tool, the Milwaukee tool is going to stand about 3/4 of an inch to an inch taller than the Snap-on. As far as depth on the tool, the difference in design is really where that one comes in. The Milwaukee being the right angle design, but they do have a little bit longer snout sticking out, is going to be about 1.5 to 2 inches shallower, so it's able to likely get into a couple more tight places. As you can see, These things match up fairly decently in the bodies. The Milwaukee one, again, does have the larger diameter area where your hands go. The other negative part about the Milwaukee that I really wasn't sure about was if you use all 4 fingers onto this paddle, the light is kind of covered up. You're not really able to get it into a place where you can use it, so you're only going to be able to use either 3 fingers or kind of set them off to the side. Now, in the way of the tool design, I see why they did that and where they put it, because if you stuck it out any farther, the tool would just be kind of gaudy, and I'm pretty sure that would get caught on different surfaces. If you put it up top, not really working as a light in any way. So where they had put it is about the best place you could put it anyways, so not going to really hate on them for that one. The overall function of these I do like, and they have their own different areas for use. This one, like I said, it depends on what kind of style you're going to use. This one being a trigger, this one being a paddle. I'm used to this one more because I've used the air version of the 90-degree kind of bench grinder for such a long time that this is more kind of an at-home feel, what I'm more along the lines used to. So let's get into actually a little bit of testing. It's not going to be just me gabbing about this one. We're going to be doing a little bit of a torture test, not anything crazy. We're not going to go full battery span, but as far as the actual torque on the motors, how much torque are you going to be able to put into these until the motors go into safety lockout mode. I've got a scale here and a nice little tin to be able to push against. So let's see what we're looking at. So for our little test rig, we made it simple and easy. Got a standard at-home scale with a analog dial, nothing fancy to that one. This tin weighs negligible. It doesn't even read on the scale to anything of that amount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ramp up the tool, as you can see with the Snap-on one. Green light, we are at a 100% full brand new battery. So we're going to push on this one until the motor shuts off, and we're going to see what scale reads on that one. Got about 17 pounds on that one. That time we got about 18-ish, 18 and a half. Third time. Also about 18 or so. All right, so let's swap over to the Milwaukee. As we can see right here, get the little trigger. We have full charge, 100% battery level with the standard 2 amp hour battery. It is not a larger battery. So let's push on this one, see what we can get read. 19, and also we are on setting 4 of that one, and we were on setting 2 of the Snap-on. All right, so we had 19 pounds on that one. We'll ramp it up full speed. 20 pounds. We racked that one at 20 pounds. Third time. We had 21 and a half on that one. That was pretty impressive. I would have to say I am very impressed with how this one works. I'm not quite sure of what the Snap-on one is rated at. They don't really tell you what their horsepower of that motor is, but Milwaukee does advertise this one at being a 1/3 horsepower motor. So pretty impressed by that one. The test showed that you were able to get an extra 2 to 3 pounds of force on this one before the motor went into safety mode. And as we can see, it's locked out. My hand's still on the trigger till we let go and use it a second time, and then it's able to work just fine. So now final thoughts and opinions on this. Again, it's not an exact apples to apples comparison between the two, just because of the design differences. I know the Snap-on one is kind of marketed as a polisher sander, but this is honestly what 90% of technicians are using, and Milwaukee is wanting to go after that market. So they're going to end up taking that in this one. With these tests, as you can see, with how they work, how hard they work, the longevity of the battery, everything, I'm going to have to go with the Milwaukee over the Snap-on. On top of that, the price point and difference is fantastic. Now let's talk about the warranty also. warranty on the Snap-on, you're looking at max a 2-year warranty, 1 year on the battery. Milwaukee, you're looking at a 5-year warranty on the tool, 2-year warranty on the batteries on this one. Now, personal preference to this one, anything and everything Milwaukee, I'm going to be putting a 4 amp hour battery on it just because I like the sturdy nature of the 4 amp hour battery. It's going to sit there a lot easier when I go to set it down. If I set it up somewhere, I'm not going to be worried about it tilting and tipping over. Snap-on already has that one kind of in their system. On top of that, Snap-on does have the nice magnetic lock base ends to that one, so I can magnetically put it up onto my rack and everything. So if one thing that Milwaukee could do for these battery line systems for mechanics is they could make some kind of a magnetic end for these tools for hanging them up on places or just setting them on carts, and they'll have a more of a sturdy base magnetic thing to be able to sit on and not worry about flopping over and falling onto the ground and breaking. But in that circumstance, I guess you wouldn't have to be as worried because the Milwaukee warranty is going to last quite a bit longer than the Snap-on one on top of that. Not that I'm going to be really testing this by throwing them on the ground and using them, but I have a feeling they're both going to be pretty sturdy in those aspects. I'm pretty confident in my views on this one and how long I've used them just over the last week or two for the Milwaukee one in the last 6 months on the Snap-on. I'm pretty confident in how they're actually going to be operating over the life of the tool. Now, obviously, if I run into any issues, I'm going to have to point those out later on, whether I come up with, yeah, maybe this motor burns out in another couple of weeks or so. I'll have to give you guys an update on that one, but just as the function after the first 2 weeks of use on that one, and I've used this one pretty steady for going on 6 months now, 5.5, 6 months, it has been pretty reliable. So any kind of updates, I will keep you up to date on that one. So longevity, term of use, I will keep you in the loop there. Now, as far as other tools in the shop, there are going to be some differences in my testing. Here coming up, I am going to be doing some testing between the Milwaukee and the Snap-on big boy 1/2-inch impacts. Also throw in another little kicker in there. I've done quite a bit of filming here and there over the last month or so, but I'm wanting to get a lot of hands-on use on both of these before I do any kind of a review. I'm not going to do any kind of unboxing or anything like that. I want to get full use, hands-on testing on a video for you guys for that one. So that's my views on the Milwaukee brushless 2485-22 kit and the Snap-on CTPP761AGM polisher grinder tools. You guys can make up your own minds and opinions over what I've shown you on that one. Price point, you guys know where that one's at. So make up your own minds and let's see what you guys think. Down in the comments below, let's hear what you guys are looking forward to seeing out of the Milwaukee tool selection and the tool lines coming up. They've got a whole lot more new nifty tools coming out in their lineup here over the next month or so. And also let us know what Snap-on can do to make theirs better. My opinion is going to be, I like the tool as it is. It is something different, but they need to make their warranty better on the tools. If they want to bring it up to where Milwaukee was, even with the cheaper tools, Snap-on's going to have to come up on its warranty to make it a little bit more better for its price point. Well guys, that's about all the information I have for you today. If you guys like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn on that bell notification for when I come out with new awesome videos like this. You guys will get that notification. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks, and as always, you guys stay awesome.